picture this moment. We've got 3 helicopters flying over top of my head. There's a big black plume of smoke coming out of the top of my building. My building was on fire. It was full of $600,000 worth of chemical fertilizer and pesticides. My dad put his arm around me and he said, with a tear coming out of his eye, "I'm so sorry this had to happen to you today, son." And I looked at my dad and I said, "Oh, Dad, it's okay. Today's a good day." And he looks at me and he says, "Today is a good day." I just chose to just believe this was a gift. I chose to have an attitude of gratitude. And that attitude of gratitude did lead me to the biggest opportunity of my life, which is Holganix. Now let me back up a little bit. You see, my whole life I've been in the lawn care fertilizer business. The second company that I had built, which was the one that experienced this fire, was one of the largest independent lawn care companies in the Mid-Atlantic region. We had 100 trucks went out every day and put down fertilizer on people's lawns. So we would buy truckloads and truckloads of fertilizer. Being in that industry, I was getting pressure from 2 sources. One was we were getting more and more regulations put onto us by government. Things like impervious coverage and nutrient loads going off into our waterways, and how much fertilizer we could apply, when we could apply it. I also saw the growing green movement, the green consumer, and how they were starting to demand that we treat the lawns, making them green and weed free, but they wanted us to do it with a lower and lower environmental footprint. So I thought to myself, you know, if I'm going to stay relevant in this industry, I'm going to have to look for new ways to create green, weed-free lawns, and we tried everything. And right before this fire had happened, we had started to play with a technology that was based around microbes. And I have to tell you, I met the inventor of this technology, which was the predecessor to our current technology that makes up Holganix. And he's telling me how he has these microbes that go into the ground and they act like little mini fertilizer factories, making fertilizer available to plants, almost like they're like fairies, and it's like hocus pocus. And I have to tell you, that's kind of what I thought it was, hocus pocus, bugs in a jug, snake oil. It didn't seem to make sense to me based on what I knew about chemical fertilizers. And then the fire happens and we lose all of our chemical fertilizers. And to make matters worse, our suppliers knew we had the fire. They knew we lost all those chemical fertilizers, and some of which we had bought on credit. So we were having a hard time buying new fertilizer. And so I got my guys into a room and I said, "Look guys, tomorrow we're going to go out and we're going to do production because we have to generate revenue to stay in business. But we don't have any fertilizer to put down. So we got 2 options. One is we could spray water on everybody's lawn and pretend it's fertilizer. I mean, lawns need water after all, right? Didn't feel good about that, but it was an option. Option 2 is let's go get these microbes, these hocus pocus bugs in a jug, put them in every one of our trucks, and we'll go out and spray those. And you know, maybe they work okay, maybe they don't, but at least we're putting something onto people's lawns." We didn't know enough at that point to really understand what we had. It was a particularly hot summer. We had a lot of disease on our lawns, and what I noticed was our lawns were staying green longer. We had less disease, less problems. The lawns really responded well to this microbial solution. And this was early technology. This wasn't what we have today in Holganix, but you could see the potential, you could see the benefit. What it forced us to do was dive in quick, dive in deep into microbial technology. We probably wouldn't have done that had we not had that fire.
I started my career, it was, you can tell, not yesterday, long ago with a doctorate in molecular biology. I worked for a very large agribusiness. Spent my whole first career there, about 26 years, but then something happened. A couple weeks into retirement, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you know, now that you're not doing anything, would you mentor this turf company? They have a product, they want to get into agriculture, but they really don't have ag as their background." And when I asked, "So what do they do?" And I was told microbials. My first thought was, no, that's bugs in a jug. I'm a scientist, come on. Because this was a friend of mine, I said, okay. What I thought I knew is some hotshot scientist and business person with big agribusiness was nothing. It was actually the customers of Holganix, people whose grass you see on television when you turn it on to watch a sporting event. People that really know turf that said, "Oh, Dave, I use this product and I cut my fertilizer quite a bit. I cut my watering because the roots are deeper. I don't spray nearly as many pesticides because the plant's healthier. And I thought, well, I need to find out what's going on in the soil. And so what I've learned since is amazing. Data shows that about half a fertilizer that's applied to ground never goes to the intended crop. It's wasted, it's very inefficient. Microbes, when I say microbes, remember, diversity is key. Not just bacteria, not just fungi, not just 1 or 2 species. Because 1 teaspoon of healthy soil will have thousands of species of beneficial bacteria, fungi, and protozoa. Over 1 billion individuals. So you need that biodiversity. And what those microbes will do is they will consume the fertilizer, which is a good thing for a while, because they all live within pretty much ½ an inch of the root zone. So we keep it in the root zone, not in the river, not in the ocean, not in the atmosphere. We keep it where you want it. But it needs to be released. That's where diversity comes in. Bacteria grow incredibly rapidly, so they will consume fertilizer like it's ice cream. But they can also tie it up. But their predators, the fungi, the amoeba, the protozoa, they consume the bacteria, keeping the populations in balance, and those microbes have a far lower nutrient requirement, especially nitrogen, than the bacteria. So they're constantly releasing nutrients in the root zone in the chemical form the plant root wants to take up. This is going to be true whether you're growing turf grass, corn, or an apple tree. It happens in all soil. Other things that the microbes do is they induce rooting. That's a great thing because it's roots plus microbes that build soil. Not so much the stuff we leave on the top of the ground. It's the roots. They break up compaction layers. They make air and water channels, because remember, the soil needs air and water. And they also secrete glue that helps hold soil particles together, that builds the structure, that builds organic matter, and also cycles the elements like potassium, phosphorus, iron, calcium, etc., back to the plant. So really, I hear more and more that we need to feed the microbes, and we're right, and all those things are great, but we also have to make sure the right microbes are in the soil, and they're not always there. Things happen all the time that change these populations. Holganix Bio 800 Plus is the complete healthy microbiome in one shot that healthy soil needs.